Hi. Oh my god, these past few days have been. Eh. Is that a word? I assume this sound counts as a word because these past few days have been kind of hectic and I've been running around like crazy. And I'll just end it there because, yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to drag it down with my drama for your mama. So how you been? Happy Wednesday. I'm on schedule this week. Yay. I almost did not because someone keeps changing things and it's annoying the heck out of me. And then, like, you know what? Never mind. It's just too much work. Just forget it. I'll just not do the thing that I said I was going to do and disrupt my usual schedule. So, yeah, oh my God, I'm so tired. I don't know. But I'm not tired enough to skip out on my scheduled live stream. So, thank you if you ever watch this. Thank you for still subscribing, even though I don't talk about Korean War stuff. And yeah, I know I should do stuff related to the Korean War, but no one watches these. So, well, few people do, and then they bounce on out. So I just like I'll do what I want in this case. With the shorts, I like doing different things. I like certain shock factors, not all of them. Some of them are uncalled for and really annoying. I really don't like clickbaity things, but sometimes you got to attract attention. But sometimes when you get suckered into those clickbaity things, especially on threads, which irk the hell out of me, and turns out they're just mouthing off nonsense just to get you to click on their freaking post. I don't like doing that. So I just click away, get annoyed, maybe make a stupid comment, maybe not all the time. I just like, you wasted my freaking 2 minutes. I want my 2 minutes back. And so I just leave, depending on how stupid the topic is. But one thing I saw on threads, and I did bring it, thought it was interesting enough to talk about. So I was asking, well, it's more like a collective of the same ask questions, like people who were raised in the 80s, 90s, or prior to the age of the internet technology, like cell phone slash smartphone slash iPads, iPhones, tablets, and social media. Do adults, was your childhood prior to all that way better than what the kids and young people have right now, being glued to said things? And a lot of answers I saw was yes, I can learn how to function like an actual person. I talk to people face to face. I go out and touch grass and rub it on my ass. I don't know. They didn't say that. I'm just making shit up in that part. But at the same time, though, I was like, it wasn't that great back then either. Okay, it was pretty good. I'll give it that. They did cater to the audience, and I do like and can acknowledge that around the 80s and 90s, when I grew up around that time, there was a lot more creativity. And people think, oh, people were so fearless of not wanting to be censored. And they have all these shows like Married with Children and Living Color, the Wayans Brothers, and some other shows. I think Mad TV to some degree. And yeah, that stuff was quite ratchet, but also damn funny as hell. Also, the cartoons had some weird, crazy ideas, but it kept us seated enough or made us wake up early at the crack of dawn sometimes. Well, I did. And watch those cartoons because they were just so captivating and catchy. But there was always the underbellies of why they were so addictive, which was basically, we want to sell you kids some toys, but it worked. We were buying toys like crazy, and the packaging and the design of said toys were colorful and bright, and they had catchy tunes like Crossfire. Well, that was more for boys, but I still remember that damn song up to now. And yeah, that Crossfire marble weird game. It's not as exciting in person as it is in the commercial, but it's pretty damn catchy. They did their part. So I was all like, yeah, that part I agree. That part I do miss, and think that the stuff they have for children nowadays, I don't know what that was. I don't know. But not all the time. I don't think 80s and 90s were all that as cracked up to be. But it varies. I'm not saying this should be what everyone should think who were raised in the 80s and 90s. This is just based on my personal experience. Okay, I'm not talking to you like I'm dumb. I'm just trying to say that part as clearly as possible, because growing up in the 80s and 90s, well, 80s is actually a big fat blur. I don't remember a lot. I remember crying a lot. Not trauma related. I remember there's video evidence of me being kind of bratty because I want, like, say, a popsicle and no one gave me a popsicle. And then it was like me whining and crying until someone, fine, here's a popsicle. You know, there's video proof of that. That is not posted online, thankfully. That is one thing I do like about the 80s/90s. We do have the option of recording our lives, but we don't have to post it for total strangers in the hundreds and thousands to see and be laughed at. I mean, you do have the option now. You know, they do convert VHS tapes, which I did not know was a thing until maybe some years ago, but we never got around to doing it. Where, oh my God, I found out, yeah, you can convert VHS tapes into DVDs, and you can watch it like on a DVD player of some kind. But I don't know. I think most of us, myself included, are basically dinosaurs, and we're like, I don't know how to function. But my editor/husband did offer maybe 2 or 3 months ago, like, hey, I can buy this VHS converter. But you need to find your tapes. And I'm like, where the hell am I going to find that? Well, I found a few, but the rest that were like actual family videos, they are somewhere else downstairs, and I have bad back pain sometimes, so I don't want to risk it and go missing from the live stream. Like, I'm sorry, my back went out when I was looking for VHS tapes for home movies. You know, I need assistance. So yeah, I do like that. Growing up, we did not have to post every single freaking thing to the open public one way or another. There was no such thing. There was like YouTube later, like when it first came out. I don't remember the year, but it came out, and then it was just random cat videos, people just similar to here, but very, very, just dorky or regular average people just talking about their day and doing silly little skits here and there and calling it a day. And that was it. Like, I think that it was just like that. I wouldn't mind. But now if you see YouTube, you need a freaking production company at this point in order to get some kind of leeway. But not all the time. Sometimes if you have that kind of charm, you have that kind of it factor, or you know what the audience target interest and trends are like, and with enough luck and hard work, you can, and timing's always a good thing. You can definitely make it in YouTube. I don't know about me though. I'm not saying hey, you should be like me and do you, like, no, you don't have, you totally don't have to. I do the barest of the bare minimum, and I think that kind of reminds me of kind of like old YouTube, where I'm not like, oh, I gotta do editing and this and that, and then, because a lot of videos I notice are like that, and if you're not like that, people question your quality of your work, and how come you don't put time and effort in your, like, because I don't like video editing. How many times do I have to say it? That's why I do live streams. It's right there. Though there are cases where I have to either entirely remove the video because I was saying something or something did not look right to me, or I have to fix something, but then the new video does not want to be a part of the current video, so it saves as a new video. I don't know how to do that. See, the dinosaur in me is showing. But at the same time, that is what I do miss about old YouTube. Like when it first came out, you could just do almost anything at least. And it's, yeah, I kind of miss that kind of stuff, where now you have to have like all these flashy bells and whistles and to wake up, audience, come here, come watch my stuff. Please subscribe, please do this, do that. I really don't like doing that. I already had a taste of that, a very brief taste of that in TikTok. And I don't have TikTok, and I'm gonna try my best not to get a TikTok. I mean, I think I have an account, but it's like next to abandoned. It was just so overwhelming, overstimulating, and I think that was really obnoxious, and I don't like that. So that's just me. And yeah, before I continue, I am trying to do some. One of my weaknesses is anime style. And some people, even older generations, older than me, perchance, they don't like the anime style. Well, now it's more mainstream, it's a lot more popular. But as I grew up, I realized I'm not good at drawing anime. I like watching anime. I like reading manga. Don't get me wrong. I love that stuff. Well, not the recent stuff. It just seems to be catering always to high school and 13, 14-year-olds. I am of age, and if it's a good, well-written story, I will come back and maybe watch it. But for the most part, I'm like, how many times do I have to hear about high school? Okay, I don't want to be reminded of high school. So anyway, yeah, this is ugly. I don't like it. I thought I can. This is based off. Oh my god, I have been obsessed with the AI generative filter things for anime, and if originally is for Studio Ghibli, yeah, that whole stupid meme, yeah, I caved in. I caved in, and then I started a trial period. Okay, don't worry about that. And then I looked hideous in Ghibli style. Maybe like 2 or 3 lucky ones turned out pretty good. I'm not going to show it to you. It's awful. It's so awful. But what is it? I saw other anime filters that I'm not saying, oh, it makes me look better, but it's a lot more pretty looking than what the Studio Ghibli AI thing was dishing out on my freaking face. Yeah, again, especially where it kept making me look like a middle-aged man. Especially when I just picked random pictures that I have from like my old stuff, and I had some with like my old in-law relatives, and they made me look like a middle-aged man next to like my grandparents-in-law. Like, what is that? That's not nice. And so, but then the other ones, like I'll show a little bit. Like this one looks nice. Can I? And of course, it's let's not take it seriously. Let's not like, oh, that's not what you look like. Like, of course, it's just a picture. What's not? But what I can admit is some of these can give you good ideas. Just bear in mind that sometimes the AI is they're still working the kinks out of the whatever problems they have, especially hands. Like I saw that I had 12 fingers in one of them. My eyes are going in 2 different directions. Or sometimes the background does not correlate well with the perspective of the main, there's all these technicalities, but I figured with that I can practice doing some of these drawings where I am particularly not, I don't have, I am weak in them. So one of them happens to be anime. And I'm not saying, oh, after this, I will start having an anime stuff. No, this is for practice. Like the whole point of me doing art stuff is to review, practice, have fun, maybe get some cute art things in the process. But right now I'm not, this one's definitely practice because this paper is a little bit flimsy. I think it is more preferred for watercolor. And I don't know, it kind of reminds me of like a really nice polished version of Sailor Moon. Like cover art of some kind, or like they did some kind of promo in a magazine, in a Japanese anime magazine sort of thing. It kind of reminded me of that. That's like, oh, that's actually kind of pretty. So I was like hooked on that all weekend, and up to last night I was still looking at this stuff. But now that I'm like trying to actually draw it, holy crap, I suck. I could say that about myself. But this is also kind of last minute. I think for me to buckle down and make it actually look kind of decent for me, I have to like, not super rush, but on live now, I'm dead nervous. I have to like be kind of rushing a bit so I get some kind of progress going. Because in real time, especially if I struggle in certain things, I have to like be very careful, especially when I'm working with ink. Even if I have pencils and you can erase it, you start tightening things down when you start getting ink involved, all right? So I do know that my strength is more so in using pens and ink rather than pencil, because pencils, I am so messy. And whenever I see people who draw incredible with pencils alone, I'm low-key butthurt and jealous because I can't do that, but I can still admire and appreciate the hard work they've done to get that far in pencil art alone. Because for me, this is me doing pencil art. Like, what the fuck? And so if I do get a little bit tired of looking at this, I will work on some works in progress as well. I found, well, for starters, I have like these small canvases I got at Daiso. The quality is very thin, so try not to. I don't recommend doing like the best of the best quality art, and then this canvas it looks like it's gonna puncture. But I found out, I forgot I did this one first, and then I stored it away somewhere, and then I saw this reference on eBay of this weird Sanrio zebra. I might do my own version of a zebra. I don't know yet. First, because I can. And then I started working on this. Then I found the missing canvases, including this boy here. I was like, I did this already, and I also realized I'm also kind of off with the placement, because now I'm like, oh, it's a bit raised. It should be a bit lower, but I'm like, I can't do that now. I already went too far here, so I have to paint all over and stuff. Like, I don't want to do that. So yeah, I also noticed that the pink here is not as vibrant as this one, but this is also too harsh. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but in person, this is a lot more neon than this one. And the original reference, it's kind of a combination of these two. So I have to, oh my God, see, this is why I don't like explaining my process, because it's a whole big fat stinky mess, and I'm trying to spare you what I have to put up with in my mind alone, okay? You're welcome. So it's not like I can't totally explain all of the things when I do art, but at the same time, I feel like it's not that exciting. I can say that, and I can admit it. It's not a problem. But I know there are people who actually like hearing about the process. I haven't met those people, unfortunately, not that I know of. Or they're just in happenstance like, oh, can you show us the entire process? It's only one person. I need to know there's a slight demand. And by slight, I mean at least 5 people. I'm not saying I need hundreds of people to see like that. I mean, I gotta start super low, okay? Because I have to be quite honest with my content. People aren't subscribing for my art stuff because it's so competitive in the art world, in online art world, because I'm not the best. I can admit that. It sucks, but I can admit that. But that doesn't mean I won't give you a run for your money. At the same time, this is not for me to, try to compete with others. I just want to keep drawing because I feel like it's the only thing I'm good at. I like what I do, even though there are people way better than me. I know there is a mindset for some people who have a hard time trying because, like, what's the point of trying if there's people better than me? And I understand that. I had those thoughts myself. But for starters, tell that part of yourself to shut up. The other part is what helps me is to not look at artists better than me too long. You can look at a little bit. You can get some inspiration and ideas. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is you can look too long. The land of doom scrolling is quite rampant in internet land, right? Especially TikTok, especially YouTube, and especially the Instagram. And you will encounter, especially with your algorithm with art stuff, and oh, maybe you like this, and it's some person who can make an entire city in just one take of doing only pen. I'm like, well, I quit this bitch. And I have those thoughts as well. What I do is just press not interested. But when I do that, I get less art. But you also have to actively look for the stuff you like. So yeah, it's really a hit and miss sort of thing. But for me to keep being motivated, just don't look at that stuff too much while you want to come up with your own ideas. Also, Pinterest, you can be quite intimidated with Pinterest. There is a lot of great art there, so I have to like minimize the amount of time I look for references, especially when it starts encroaching upon people way better than me, because there's a lot. There's a lot. And I can admit that that's fine. But when it starts getting like, hey, here's all these artists way better than you, what are you going to do about it? Not interested. Not all of them, okay? Just, it's for the sake of me to keep going, because it is so easy to just like, I don't want to draw anymore. What's the point? There are people better than me. Why bother? it's so easy to think like that. It is so easy. Actually, recently I haven't been able to do as much art because not because that mentality. Thankfully, not that, but I mean, it does creep in. You know, you're human. What do you expect? Um, but like I mentioned, like last week, I had to take care of some family things. I had to help out the editor with, private things. And so I was taking care more with that than dealing with art stuff. Sometimes there are priorities and I have to compromise and take care of that stuff. But then it gets to the point sometimes where, I was supposed to draw, but I fell asleep, or, I was supposed to draw and I had to make dinner. I have to go out and get what things I have to. So over time, next thing you know, it's been over a week and I haven't done a freaking thing with art. And it's so easy for me. It's more easier for me in this aspect to forget to do art when I have to deal with real life things versus some prodigies with who can draw with their hands and feet, or people with no arms, no legs, and they can still make incredible paintings, or dogs and elephants that can make paintings and get 500k views and 1,000 comments and likes and this and that. Like when an elephant and a dog can do better paintings than you and more, and the algorithms in their favor. Yeah, and meanwhile you're lucky enough to get even 5 likes. I don't even get that. Yeah. I could complain on threads all I want. I'm not gonna get that unless I do a woe is me thing, and I don't like begging. I really don't like begging like that. I don't like coming off like that either. So I'm like, you know what? If no one likes it, oh well, I still like it. I think that's ultimately what you have to do. It's like, as long as I like it, that is enough for me. Okay, especially when it feels like online you have to be validated by having like at least 5,000 likes, 10k followers and this and that, and I'm like, it's really disheartening, especially when the people who are complaining on threads sometimes, they're like, I am losing so many followers. I currently have 2,000 followers, but it used to be 10,000. Like, oh sheesh, man. I was like, why are you complaining? You want to see my account? If that's you crying, imagine having the stuff I got. And I have like over 1,000 posts already on Instagram alone. That's why I'm like, man, I should maybe just move to YouTube, but I'm not very YouTube friendly, I think. A little bit. I think I am. Oh, YouTube gods, don't smite me. But not for art. Definitely not for art. I'm lucky enough. I actually get better traction on YouTube, but in social media standards, it's considered nothing. But I'm also old and don't care as much, so I still keep doing the things. But then they also, you should check out your statistics and see what your analytics and see what you're doing wrong. Like, yeah, I can do that. And actually, there was someone on Instagram. I will get back to the 80s and 90s comment later because this is what has been currently going on in my mind off and on. More rampant than 80s, and like, who gives a shit? There was someone, I think I mentioned a while ago, some lady she added me on Instagram. Oh, no, I don't think she added me, but she tried to message me, DM me, and then she mentioned, oh, I saw your work on YouTube. I really like it. This is great. I'm like, okay, yeah, thank you. I didn't know. There was a complete stranger reaching out to me from seeing my stuff on. This is not rare. This is a freaking rare a case. Okay, I'm trying to say that. My tongue got twisted. And so, I was like, oh, okay, thank you. I slowly took a while to respond. I'm not like, oh, yeah, I have an attention thing, like I gotta. But I try to be courteous. I try to be polite. Oh, thank you so much. I just do what I can to, just a hobby, blah. And then she says, oh, well, I was watching your content, and she intentionally took a screenshot of one of my videos. I think it was one of my gaming videos, and she picked the ones with one of the lowest of the low views. And then she sent it to me. It's like, you see here, like, this has so little views, and if you join my course, I can give you the advice. I don't know if she offered me a course or whatever, but she's trying, like, I want to give you some advice on how to hike up those numbers and to help you get more visibility on YouTube. And I could see where this was. I looked on her account on a whim just to see, like, what is this person? What is her deal? And she's one of those YouTube promo. I mean, I don't know. It wasn't a CEO. It was like CTO or C something O, and something about like being like a online content something. I don't know what it was. That's how I don't care about such things. But she was trying to sell and not sell, but maybe promo how she helps people do increase their views and be more in favor of the algorithm in social media. And I don't want to do that because actually, even though I am whining about not having enough views, comments, likes, etc., or supports, I also don't want to be famous either. I've seen enough documentaries to see what it does to people, how it feels like, oh, you get a swollen head and you have a lot more responsibilities, you have more demand. I don't want to do that. This is a hobby, and my goal for having the YouTube channel is to actually keep liking doing what I do. That's why I've been avoiding doing video editing, because the few times I tried, I hated it and I wanted to quit. I'm gonna say it like that. I wanted to quit. So I avoid doing YouTube actual videos, but I do know I have to do them at some point. So there may be some in the future, but I don't know when because I don't like it. But if I find a way to psych my brain out to actually, trick my brain into liking video editing, there is hope for that. But that's like a 0.8%. So there's your warning, guys, whoever watches this. So yes, I kind of had like a stank face when I saw her comment, and I was like, oh, thank you for letting me know, but actually that's not what I'm looking for. But thank you for your input. And then she stopped messaging me. I think I also removed her message, and I haven't heard anything. Because if you're not interested, they usually don't bother you. And she actually did not push any further, so I was kind of relieved, because there are some pushy ass people out there. But maybe she's not as desperate. Maybe she has some people that actually want her advice, and she may have some courses that you have to pay. I hate that shit too. Like, buy my course and figure out how to blah 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 blah. With that whole thing, after I saw that advertisement some years ago about how you can buy your subscribers, how you can buy your followers, buy likes and comments and that, I don't want to do that shit. So I rather have it genuinely, but when it's genuine, you don't get shit. So unless I'm like I don't know, I'm super famous for whatever. I don't know. I like what's going on right now. I'm fine with that. But I will complain once in a while, but it's just to help me cope and to carry on and admit, okay, there's a problem here. I should probably do something about it. I should probably work a bit harder and do extra new things, but I can't afford to. I don't mean money wise. I mean, I got some, like, even like helping out some family members because I had to help take care of them. I don't have that kind of time. So that's my reasoning why I don't think I can. And it was a bit stressful these past few days. So I cannot emphasize that enough. And I don't like this. I don't like how it's turning out. It's making me annoyed because I'm trying to tweak some things that I wanted to make it look more like me. But then when I tweak things, it's like, oh, it doesn't look as good. Oh, God. Okay. So sorry for that really long tangent. I don't know how to talk sometimes. Most times. I'm trying to fix it. So anyway, that thing about was your childhood as better than, especially if you're born and raised before the early 2000s, like prior to that, with no internet, no technology, no like modern technology we have now. Was your childhood better back then than what the children are dealing with now? And it's a mix, especially depending on how you were raised. And the comments, I'll reiterate again that a lot of them said, yes, my childhood was amazing before all this iPad and cell phone crap. We were riding bikes outside. We were going to the mall, hanging out with friends. We actually talked to people and all this other kooky stuff. And things were creative and people were more wanting to challenge creativity and having to make new and innovative things, and with what little technology they had back in the day. I mean, look at Jurassic Park, look at Terminator 2 and all that stuff. When it was kept in the movies and TV and certain shows, then it was a novelty at its best, and it was creative and innovative and all that great stuff. But then when you have all the technology now, people are getting lazy. I mean, hello, the latest Disney Snow White movie. That's it. I mean, everyone has said all the things bad about that movie, and surprisingly, one of my brothers watched it, and they said it wasn't that bad. But I don't know. He's actually too nice for his own good. But I'm like, I'm not gonna touch that because I didn't watch it. But from what I've seen, people complaining, it don't look good. But again, I did not watch it, and I kind of don't have the urge to. I'll just watch the old Disney movie if I wanted to, or other versions. There's other versions out there too, you know. So anyway, what was I gonna do? I kind of don't like this. I can also do another version to fix it, but when I don't like it, it's like, See, I'm not, like I mentioned, I'm not very good at anime, but yeah, my childhood back then, I think it was because how I was raised, I did not like it as much, or did not have, or no, not like it, it's just a different approach. It's more like I did not have the same experience as people growing up in the 80s and 90s for the most part, because they talk about, oh, I used to go out and hang out with friends and didn't have to worry about being on social media and this and that. What else is there? I would ride bikes with my friends. I mean, I did ride a bike, but I was like, I didn't really have friends, because here's why I didn't hang out with friends over the weekends after school or what have you. Is because growing up, I had to go home. My family was always, I think they were quite overprotective, so I think I was quite sheltered. The other thing was, over the weekend, we didn't just be left to our own devices. Someone was always having to watch us. We're around my older siblings, especially my oldest brother, and maybe a sister or two, or I have to go to my dad's work on both Saturday and Sunday because it was his own business. But then this was his way of spending time with his children, is he brings us to his work on Saturday and Sunday. And so most of my childhood was at my dad's clinic. I'm not saying it's like a second home, but I was there like every freaking weekend, to the point where I believed, oh, I hope everyone has fun at their own parents' veterinary clinics, because that's how far gone I was, assuming other classmates went to their parents' veterinary clinics on weekends instead of going to like parks or playgrounds or amusement parks, movies, malls, etc., etc. I didn't know that was a thing, and my family didn't really tell me about that either. I kind of just smiled and nodded. Okay, yeah, I guess we all go to veterinary clinics over the weekend. But as for fun, well, I that's how I started liking animals in the first place. Mostly dogs, but eventually I started liking cats. But then turns out I'm allergic to cats, so I cannot be the stereotypical cat lady, even if I wanted to, because after 30, 40 minutes, I am a dysfunctional, sneezing, boogery mess. Yeah, TMI, but it is what it is. I had to deal with responsibilities growing up, even as the youngest, that there's another stereotype about youngest, like, oh, you get to be spoiled. Yes and no. Yes, maybe, like, yeah, my dad was a lot more softer on me and would get me things whenever we went out. No, because sometimes you kind of get ignored, like, oh, top priority is usually the older child and the older children. When it gets to you get hand-me-downs and, oh, right, you exist, and they're like, why don't you talk more? It's because, well, all of you are talking. I don't really have much to say. And then when they actually challenge your opinions, you're kind of worried what you may say may upset them, which has happened before. I've said things, I don't remember, but I do remember saying things that would make them tell me to be quiet. Just be seen and not heard. So that was kind of like my upbringing half the time. And if they deny it, well, they're lying. So I am not saying who. So while it is about family things, at the same time, my upbringing was not the Western standard, I think. So, but at the same time, it helped me stay out of trouble. I do notice, especially those who go to parties, there's always like, oh, I had too many to drink and I woke up and there's a strange man next to me and his pants are on his head. There's There's all these stories out there, and then I'm kind of glad I was not encouraged to drink. They did offer like at most red wine when I was little, and I was like, oh, what's this? And it's gross. It's gross. So I already had no interest in drinking, and apparently that's good for you. I know they mentioned there's research saying that if you drink blah blah blah, it's good for your heart. But then sometimes they say, oh, it turns out that was not right. We were just wanting to promote a reason to make you buy more wine. I was like, what? Why would you do that? That's ew. That's false advertising at its finest. And so, yeah, I did not have a similar Western American experiences. Like a lot, I know even as Asian Americans, you feel pressure to want to fit in with other people. I didn't really have that. So my experience was mostly I was helping out with my parents at the clinic, and the rare times we do go out to the mall, it was like a freaking collective. Like my whole family would go, or at least one or two family members with me would go to the mall. I would rarely ever go by myself, and it was really, and I thought this was almost normal until I saw other people, like my classmates, they just go on their own, and I was like, how come I don't do that? But if I start questioning, it'd be a sign of disrespect. So we're back at that again. So that's why I think sometimes 80s and 90s growing up, it was not that great. But I am still thankful that a lot of the, if I was not doing clinic work, I would probably be in a lot more trouble with certain things, or I don't know. Plus I was kind of a boring person outside of doing art things as a hobby. Other than that, I didn't really have much interest in other things. I would just always be drawing. So I think even if I was left to my own devices, I can go out. I would probably just buy art supplies and go home. And that's what I've been doing when I was able to go by myself. I would just look for art supplies. I would go to Pearl. Oh my God. I remember this old art store called Pearl. Long closed down. I love that place. And their stuff was dirt cheap. I miss it. But it was in the downtown that everyone in the media keeps talking about, where everyone poops and gets mugged and all that stuff. I mean, just be aware of your surroundings and don't look like you're preoccupied, because people will start coming up to you and start asking things like pictures of your feet, which has happened to me before. It was so weird. I was like, I'm not even wearing sandals. What gives? Thankfully I took a shower that day. Jeez. But yeah, it was so weird. I did write notes as to why the 80s and 90s growing up was not that great. I don't miss cassette tapes. I don't miss VHS tapes. I don't miss having to get up at the crack of dawn to record my favorite anime. Even though I did love that stuff, you're a kid, you want to stay in bed, but then you have to get up early. Like, ugh. So while I will get up to record anime on the Sci-Fi Channel at the same time, I would rather stay in bed. But because that was the only time I could get access to anime, which was scarce back then, or you had to get VHS tapes movie rentals. I missed at Tower Records. Oh my God, I miss that place so much. They still have it in Japan, I think. I was like, oh, I have more reason to go there. But yeah, I miss that so much. You know what? I'm gonna take a break on those. I want to fix it. I have another chance in the painting process, but I'm not liking how it's turning out. And I will have to see how I do this. Okay, so I need to actually work on a work. That's what I said in the title. I gotta commit, lady. I gotta commit. Okay, so looks like a poo. Where is my paintbrush? Oh no, I moved it because I have some. Oh, here it's fine. So I'm missing another paint. I'm kind of annoyed. Yeah, this is too bright, but we'll just work with it. Things. So yeah, I did not miss technology. I don't miss portable CD players. I don't miss that at all, because I think I snagged my oldest brother's one that he had, and I tried to play one of my CDs while out in the open, and it kept skipping like crazy. I remember it not working, and after like 5 minutes of trying to make this work while I walk in a straight line, apparently didn't work, or we just got a crappy version, or the batteries suck. I don't know, but it really deterred me from wanting to use CD players in open public. Why is there cobwebs here? But yes, I did not miss having the CD player that's portable. Whatever we had was pee pee cock-a-doo-doo. And then I don't miss rewinding tapes, like after you watch a movie and like, oh, you have to rewind it. And like, I don't want to do that. But then you want to watch the movie again, or a TV show, or what have you, and then some schmuck didn't rewind it, and it was probably you. I don't miss that at all. When you had to take the bus, nowadays you can look on the schedule on the bus stop, or they have like these screens showing when the next bus is coming. Back then when I took the bus, no such thing. You have to assume maybe in every 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the time frame, like the traffic, the flow of traffic and all that stuff. And you have to assume that bus will show up on time, and that usually was not the case, and it was not very reliable. And I think old bus drivers might have missed that. But now you have to be on schedule, and I think they're a lot more strict on that stuff now. So I don't miss waiting for the bus, and you had no idea when the bus will show up. Also, I don't like when I was taking the bus. I remember in high school, they would not pick you up sometimes because the bus was crowded. And by crowded, I mean the front and middle was packed, but there was still a ton of room in the back. And so the bus driver can't see it all. And they're like, oh, I assume it's full. And then you try to be on time and the bus just zooms on out. I did not miss, but that was on the 80s and 90s. That was like early 2000s, but that was a part of my childhood, kind of. It sucked. So I was late, and I would get locked out of the math class, even though you try to be early. I was like, yeah. I don't miss waking up on time, though I know in certain countries it's a lot worse, but I had to be in school at like 8 o'clock, and I was driven to school, and I was always late. And so I would always get a tardy slip, a late slip. And sometimes, in some cases, well, it was mostly in kindergarten because that teacher was a freaking psycho. She would put me in the corner every single day in kindergarten, almost every single day. And I remember crying a lot because I hated that class, because while there was early dismissal at 12:30, I was there the entire extra afternoon hours until my mom picked me up, because she was a full-time full-time employee. And so while I had early dismissal, I was not always getting picked up because everyone had lives. Like, it's lunchtime. I'm not going to pick you up. Sorry. That's my phone. And then, yeah, I did not miss those times growing up, having to deal with this crazy teacher. And she wasn't just mean to me, she was mean to other kids too, but also I felt like she really hated me. And she would pinch people's cheeks and ears, and it would really hurt, or she would just yell at you if you did not know the Our Father or Hail Mary prayers. Like, she would have to drill it in our heads to memorize that, and I would not remember it. I remember crying a lot because I couldn't remember. I mean, now I remember it verbatim, but back then, when you're a kid and you're like 5, 6 years old, and you're just saying words just so the teacher would be quiet and go to the next kid. Oh my God. I don't miss that stuff. And then I do miss in the 80s and 90s the snacks. Like, a lot of the stuff was not does anyone remember the Orbits? I think it was called Orbits or Orbeez. No, Orbits, I think. Orbits. And then there's this weird drink where they had tiny balls floating around like a lava lamp, and you would drink it, and you'd try like, well, I don't know what that tastes like. This tastes like nothing, like squishy gel balls or some kind. And then they just stopped selling them. I also remember this koala drink. I forgot the name, but there was always a picture of a koala, and they had like orange mango soda flavored. Maybe it was like sparkling water / soda, and some kind of berry drink. I only remember those. I remember Blue Pepsi. I thought that one was pretty cool. And then turns out it had some kind of cancer-causing agents or something, and then they pulled it off the shelves. I was like, oh, Thank you. I don't know. Alleged. I'm not sure. Go look on Google. I don't know. I do remember Crystal Pepsi, and then there was some videos recently or off and on about people who kept the Crystal Pepsi bottle for like 20 years, and they're like, I wonder if it's still good. Don't drink that. Don't drink that, please. What's wrong with you? Don't drink that. I mean, but back then it still tasted like Pepsi, just it was clear. And then I remember one of the SNL, I think it was Saturday Night Live when it was funny. I think it was SNL, I forgot, but there was a thing they can't, instead of Crystal Pepsi, it was Crystal Gravy. And I laughed so hard seeing that first because it looks like a big glob of spit or hair gel, and people are just pouring it on potatoes and pouring it on their faces. And I was like, what the fuck? It was just the weirdest thing ever growing up. So I did like that kind of weird sort of thing with TV shows in the 80s and 90s. Like they come up with some weird ass shit. It was hella funny. Even if you look at it back then as a middle-aged adult and you're like, what the fuck was that all about? It's still kind of funny. And it's like, oh, okay. We don't have that kind of stuff anymore without some kind of weird random agenda, or I don't know, or like you have to like force like elicit a response like with a celebrity saying weird things, or it's like it's not as creative anymore. And there's a lot more censorship now. Like you can't just do anything without being accused of what. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, and people have a hard time between it's just a joke versus, well, that's a bit too much. Okay, stop it. You know, like where can we have fun? Where can we be careful what we say? You know, there's always this, you know, the whole thing about political correctness. It was around the 80s and 90s. Don't get me wrong. It's just, especially with certain TV shows that were challenging social standings, like as a family, you have to have like kids, you have to be like a good looking. There's one thing I noticed about 80s and 90s shows. Sometimes like the wife was always well put together and hot, and or she was a lot better looking than the husband. The husband was always portly, you know, he had some hair loss, but you can tell like when they were younger, they were good looking in their heyday, but then, you know, life beat them down. But the wife still has the time to put herself all together, except certain things. I think like Roseanne was a whole other thing. And I actually liked Roseanne. I don't remember why. I remember watching it at the convent after school, see, because I was one of the last kids getting picked up. And when I also remember Saved by the Bell was one of the shows they show, I think around 5 o'clock, 5:30. And that's when the kids that were super like amongst the last of the last to get picked up, we had to go to the convent and then like, oh, let's go watch some TV. And we would watch TV, and it was always Saved by the Bell or Mama's Family or Mama's Company, whatever. Those two shows would show up. And then when it was Roseanne, it's like, oh God, we're the last kids here. So I remember, yeah, I have these weird ties to these shows, but not for the reasons most people would think about. It was because, oh, it's related to me being picked up late. And then I'm trying to think of things from the 80s and 90s. I'm not sure about fitness, but I remember we had like a whole bunch of jump rope, jump for your heart sort of, I can't remember, but I remember doing a lot of jump rope around 2nd and 3rd grade, and we had to have some kind of like, maybe it was like a fundraiser of some kind, and we had to do jump ropes. I don't remember. I just remember jump roping a lot in 2nd and 3rd grade. And then if you do enough jump ropes, you get like a slap bracelet, and that was a novelty back then. So I was like, oh my God, it turns into a bracelet when you slap yourself. I was like, oh, okay. I remember yo-yos were a thing, like, but they had the regular yo-yo and then the cheating yo-yo, the one where it snaps back into your hand really fast, whereas the other one you have to do it manually. And that was quite popular back then too. Pogs, I remember Pogs. I had a whole bunch of Pogs, including Sanrio Slammers. I don't know where the hell they went. I know they weren't thrown away. I just don't know where they are. But I remember that was crazy popular. If you're wondering if they're still around, just look on eBay and probably Etsy. They should have a whole bunch of them. Maybe Mercari, but I never looked on there. But I saw some ones that were blank, And I almost thought about buying a bunch to do some art on that, but those are way smaller than cards because they're like basically this size. It's like super tiny. And I don't want to mess my eyes even further. I already have glasses. I don't want to do that. But if I can figure out what to draw on those things, because hey, man, the Pog art they were pretty detailed from what I can remember. So I kind of want some, but I need to finish my project. Look how long I took to paint this damn thing. So they have blank Pogs on eBay from what I saw. I'm not sure about Amazon. Maybe I haven't checked yet, but it could be a possible project, but I have to actually like it because that was my only main concern because the surface area is way too small for me to work on. At least card art, I can stick them together and make like a small makeshift puzzle. Pog circles are, I don't know yet. I have to figure out how to make it work, and probably by then I'll be 50. Oh my God. That's not that far. Other things I missed. Oh my gosh, camera, please. Did you want to see my zebra? Of course you don't. Of course you don't. That's why you're blurring. You're tearing up from all the failure. No, I was kidding. Stop crying. Okay, come on. Can we? Oh, so I have to be super up close for me to. Okay, and then do a dramatic pullback, even though there's nothing going on here. Oh my God. I wish I can talk about art things, like my whole entire process, but there's not much, especially when I'm doing this part where I have to fill out the entire blank. So how do I word this for 5 to 10 minutes? There's not much. I mean, I could do the video editing thing, but again, like I really don't like it. I tried. It's not like it's one thing if I didn't try, but I did, and I hate it. I think this is just the artist side showing, because I think I was having a talk with one of my good friends about struggling with making art videos, and he's like, I totally get that, because we already spent time making all this art stuff, and now we have to make a video. We have to do video editing after all that crap. So there's a lot more work. Shoot. That's why I rather do shorts and reels, because I think those are funny and I don't have to do as much. And sometimes you could put weird pictures in it or do some silly little meme in between. And I have a lot more fun doing that. That's why I do that a lot more than the actual video. Live stream, it forces me to talk. Not in a bad way, because in real time, real life, I don't really talk to people except my family. And then out in public, people have to approach me first and ask me something. Then I will say something, or I go to a doctor's appointment, or I do customer service. I have to call customer service or make an appointment. Those are the only times I really talk. Or I'm at the grocery store. That's about it. It's so awful. And then, another thing about 80s and 90s, it was a lot easier to make friends, but more like in a school setting rather than a work environment. I don't think you really make work friends. I mean, if you're lucky, that's great, but sometimes you have to be careful, especially nowadays. But making friends back then was way easier, and you didn't have to worry about your social placement standing in the social media world. He's like, hey, you eat paste. So do you. Let's be friends. Okay. That's okay. Not that I ate paste, although I knew someone who ate paper. For years, they ate paper. I will not say who. Hopefully, they don't see you. It's like, why would you eat paper? Or they would just try to be a rebel and talk about eating glue. I'm like, you just put it on your hand and pretend you have skin. That's as far as I get with glue and using it for school projects, not eating it. What the hell's wrong with you? I knew someone who it was in preschool. He ate silly putty. And I would see the strings of putty come out of his mouth. And I was like, and I left. See, I have like these small micro random stories about things that show that you were raised or you grew up around 80s and 90s, or you're eating silly putty, or you're peeling the glue off your hands, pretending you have crusty, dusty hands. Jump rope was a big thing. LA Gear shoes, I remember that was a big deal. And neon pink was huge back then. Big puffy hair was more for my older siblings, so I did try to have on my bangs. It did not work out. Nickelodeon Nicktoons was quite big, especially when they first. I remember watching the first episodes of Rugrats, Ren and Stimpy, Doug, and later on, Rocco's Modern Life. But I don't buy the merchandise that everyone's been buying like crazy. I mean, I could. I just don't feel like it, especially at my age. I like to admire, like, oh, I remember watching Real Monsters and Rugrats, but then later on, I'm like, they have a jacket for like $90 of the whole Nicktoons or the Loungefly of all the Nicktoon characters. Like, do you want to buy that because you grew up around that? No. It just seems too much on me. It just, for me, I think it feels like a cry for help on my person. Other people who can rock that stuff, have at it. I admire you. I envy you. I wish I can do it, but for me, because I think I don't look very happy. This is my face. I don't think it works against me than with me. Do you kind of catch my drift if you actually watch this? But that doesn't mean I don't like watching it. But I just don't. Yeah, that's another thing about 80s and 90s stuff. Like, even though I grew up around the cartoons, especially like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Gem and the Holograms, My Little Ponies, but they were kind of meh. Nicktoons, Looney Tunes. I like Looney Tunes. That one's my favorite. But they do have a lot of racial and propaganda. Funny enough, same with Disney. But there was also Animaniacs. I love Animaniacs. Freakazoid is one of my absolute favorite. It was so weird, but so funny. And yeah, there was a whole bunch of cartoons I enjoyed, but when I try watching them, like, how to say, I try to binge watch them, I get bored. But if I watch small snippets that were my favorite clips, I love them to death. I will still go back to the time Freakazoid was yelling at that weird guy with the beaver and tell him to go drink coffee and stop ruining everything. Go away. I love that part. That's like, I would still come back to watching it at least 50 times a year. It's probably more. Oh my God, I'm looking for this one paint. I can't find it. I wish I did more works. Okay, I guess I have to accept that I have to do this now. Oh God, I don't like it. Okay, so this pen is too meh. Let me see if I can do another pen size. I'm missing a paint. I think it fell down. I don't know where it went. And I was like, right before I went online. Other things that I like or don't like about the 90s, 80s. Yeah, my childhood was not the standard of being around. I don't know, like, I was working a lot. I didn't really have time to enjoy it. And the rare times I did, I was always around family, friends. I think, oh God, ew, I'm not using this. Yuck. But while I wish I did some things as a kid, at the same time, if anything, I miss being at the Sanrio stores more. Sanrio Geek, 5 o'clock. Yeah, I actually I wish I was doing Sanrio stuff. I mean, more active, but of course, even though I had like my allowance, I had to still I was rarely on my own. And by the time I was on my own, they started closing down the stores. One thing I do miss about 80s and 90s, FAO Schwartz was in the city, but they closed down, according to the Google, in 2001. So I was like, oh my God, I love that toy. That was a toy store. I think it was originally from New York, but they had one branch here, and I love that. I wish they had that here. Now it's a stupid luxury, high-end, blah blah banana ramble dilama ding dong store. I don't care for. This is why I kind of don't like luxury stores. It's stupid. And if you heard about that whole thing about, oh, China's exposing the luxury, yeah, I'm not surprised. Why would I be? I never liked that stuff ever since they took away FAO Schwartz from me. I don't care for luxury goods. They've been around for years, and I just never saw the appeal. There was also a messed up story that involved one of my old friends' parents that dealt with a luxury item. I don't want to talk about it. That's not my story to tell, but that was also one of my reasons why I also did not feel the need to have like a luxury bag on my person in public. People will think you're made of money and will try to take it from you, let's just say, okay? And so I don't like looking rich in an open public setting. If I do want to, not that I do, but say if I do, I want to be with a bunch of people, especially someone who looks like that eats people. I'm not saying literally, just like they look threatening and they'll back the heck off if I'm with other people. So if I want to look rich, I rather do it with a group of people, especially someone who looks threatening, or at least 3 other people that look threatening. I don't want to do that by myself. They say, oh, you can do whatever you want. Like, yeah, you also have to take responsibility of the possibilities of people approaching you for whatever things are on your body. And it sucks, especially for women. It's like, my body, my choice. I get that. But like, you'd be surprised what people will do. And when certain things on your body, like a purse or a jacket or the kind of top or shorts or pants you wear, they draw attention. And, just I don't know. Can you please use your head, please? Please. I have to say please more. Anyway, but sometimes even if you wear regular, like, baggy hoods, baggy clothes, sometimes it doesn't stop some people. I don't know. Maybe that's why I wear face masks a lot. Anyway, also allergies, because allergies is not kind to me lately. 80s, 90s. What else do I like or dislike? A lot of things felt more colorful, not just the toys and the marketing promos for toys and things towards children, like snacks, foods, drinks looked more colorful. I mean, like I mentioned, the Pepsi Blue. I don't think that was in the 80s, 90s. I don't remember, but um, candy looked a lot more colorful. I remember like they had that liquid candy in a tube, and you just squeeze it and you eat it. I think I bought it for novelty purposes, but it just tasted gross. I never finished it. But they had like the pixie sticks was a thing. That was around for, but they were especially popular back then growing up. And they had the big long ones that you cannot fit on the screen. And I would buy those like an idiot, and I ate them all. What the hell's wrong with me? So yeah, I don't do that anymore. I mean, once in a while, like just for fun is okay, but I don't see it as much. Pixie sticks, I don't know. Or I'm just not looking for it. TV shows and movie posters looked a lot more colorful. I think there was also a time when people used to paint their own promo movie posters, like the one, but that was a long before. But they were still going on, especially like for certain movies, like for Star Wars or Indiana Jones. I remember those in particular, and some other ones I can't. But yeah, I still like those, but they don't do that. They rarely ever do that anymore. Or if they do, it costs a lot of money if you want to have like your own. I wonder if I should do one. Nah, I don't like movies that much. As I there are some weird ass movies, but people still put them out there. I mean, now it's like, what the fuck is that? Like the movie looks good and the story sounds compelling, and then near the end they didn't know how to end it, so everyone dies. I was like, what? Or it was just a dream. But you can make that ending a lot better if it was more well written. But nowadays when they do that crap, it's like, what the fuck? Why'd you make me engage? Now I don't understand. There's a lot of movies like that. I don't want to name them right now, but the editor tricks me into watching these movies because he's like, maybe it's because he's blindly optimistic about today's movies. Like, maybe this one is good. And I was like, I won't watch it. So anyway, oh my God. Let's see. Riding bicycles, I did do that, but I did ride it at my dad's clinic a little bit, but that was when there was open field. There was no housing. There was nothing but like weeds, dried bramble weeds, and small little hills here and there. And I did that, but I kind of was wondering, oh, what would this place be like if there were houses and I could actually ride around? Now there are houses and little parks, and I don't have a bike anymore. And so I'm like, oh, well, shit. And oh, I do miss the metal slides. They don't have them anymore because I think, especially if it does get hot, the metal burns your legs if you're not wearing pants. but we kind of just assume, well, it's kind of a given. If there's metal, it gets hot from the sun. You put on some freaking pants. If you wear shorts, you're screwed. Don't go on there. But yeah, I remember there was a whole bunch of metal slides. I love those slides so much. They were so fast to ride. I would just be on the slides all day. That was a lot of fun. But then over time, as I've seen parks get developed, or there's new parks popping up, or playgrounds rather, they were replaced. I guess someone was crying, the safety hazard, and then all of the cool metal slides were replaced with the plasticky play as you go slides. And I go down sometimes as a kid, with my kid, and like, what the hell is this? This is stupid. But that's all they know. And then they're like, yay, this is fun, I think. It's like, you're missing out, little kid. But there is one metal slide near the playground here. And so I was like, okay, but it's a very short slide, not a really long one like they had when I was growing up. I miss those. And then they have the tube metal slide, but you kind of have to be careful because you go down too fast, you mess your head. I don't know, but yeah, that's what you do as a kid. You get on playground stuff, get hurt. What else? Then you cry and get a Band-Aid and move on. That's all we did. But now that they replace with all the plastic and soft and plushy things and sand, though sand is kind of dirty now, especially if people are not keeping it clean. It's kind of hard to keep sand clean. I would know. I miss that stuff. But yes, playgrounds back then were a lot more fun, I think. There were also these tire swings I had at this old preschool I went to. That one was so much fun. I don't see tire swings that much, but if they are, they're kind of structured weird and they kind of suck. I don't know. But the ones I had in that preschool, they were designed in a way. Can I draw it? I don't shit. Let's be ghetto and use envelopes. So the swing I was on, well, there's two, but let's just pretend there's one right now. It was kind of like this. And then it was like, these are the ropes. And I think the tire was fastened like this. Not like this, the usual way. No, it's not. And there's three. No. It was like this. And you have to sit on here like a sucker. And your body's here. And you have to put your feet in between here and then swing yourself back and forth. And that was the best fun I ever damn had. And there was two of those. So there's one here, one next to there. And we would swing. And that was the best fun I had as a little kid, was being on these tire swings and just adjusting the speed with my feet using the tire center thingy there. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. The one that I just showed is the more recent one where the swing is attached here and it's like this. And then you can sit here, some schmuck can sit here, and then you're going this way, all sorts of directions. And then maybe it's fun, but it just looks like a headache for me because I get easily dizzy. So this one, you don't have to share. This one you have to share. So I think they're trying to like, oh, we're all sharing and being. No, I don't like it. Especially if one of us I just worry this will break the more people are on there, or kids rather. But I never saw this kind of structure of a tire swing ever after that preschool, funny enough. I don't know why. Maybe it's a safety hazard now, but back then it was the best time I had. But I don't see that stuff now because everything's all safe and styrofoamy and plushy and all that stuff. So I'm like, what? Just let them have it. It's hella fun. But maybe kids get hurt more easily now. I don't know. Are their bones made out of I don't want to say porcelain. Is it made out of cheese? What's going on here, man? Like, just let them try. That was the only time I saw that kind of swing. I never seen it anywhere else afterwards. Funny enough. I don't know. Has anyone ever seen that swing strut? Maybe I can try to draw it, but based on my memory, I don't. That was the best I can from my memory. So yeah. Oh my God, that was. I miss those swings. Like, a lot of things are super safe now. It's like, what is this? But sometimes safe is not necessarily a bad thing, especially if it happens to your kid and you don't want to pay the hospital bill. So I understand now. So I understand. You don't want to pay that bill, especially when everything's crazy expensive now, right? So while it seems kind of weak, like, do you want to pay the hospital bill now? Hell no. Even if there is insurance, there's some things they don't cover. And then guess what? You got to pay extra. So while we complain like, oh, back then things were more interesting. I don't know how the hospital bills were back then. I never had a broken bone in my body. Loud and proud, I can admit that. But I did not want to be in the hospital for that very reason, to cause trouble for my family. Plus, I was not very adventurous, so I saved so much money for my parents, apparently, I think. To that degree anyway. Oh, there's still people here. Oh, thank you if you're actually listening. I don't know why. Yeah. Thank you if you actually watch this stuff. I always want to say thank you, but sometimes I get caught up talking about the weird things I'm trying to remember. Trying to remember for like over 3 decades, really far back, is really difficult. Sometimes if I see something, it can trigger a memory, but I don't know what that something is, and I don't know what that memory will be. But who knows? Because I do know I have a bunch of stories, but I cannot remember for the death of me if I try to elicit a specific memory I want to talk about. And I was like, because that tire swing just now, I haven't even thought about that in like maybe 30 years. Yeah, that's how long ago. And I'm way older than that, even though I sound the way I sound. And yeah, I don't know. So other things about what's right? Oh, sure. I was talking a lot. Okay. So last thing, and I'll what can I talk about before I do a wrap up? Oh, I wrote notes. What the hell? Yeah, all that stuff was in my freaking memory. Oh. Okay, sorry. I'm looking at my thingamabobs. Oh, yes. Back then, one of the things they brought up was we had to use our brains. We had to use and rely on our memory a lot more back then. Yes, that sounds like a brag. And then on the other side, if your memory is trash, that's also a downside. We had to rely on our freaking memory back then. Holy crap. And if your memory's not so good, you effed up. You're screwed. And mine was hit and miss. Maybe when I was younger, it was a lot better. But now, like, oh my God, man. I sometimes, one of the things that I still have with me, even though I do write notes on my phone, not all the time, don't get me wrong, but like my memory, to help with my memory, I will write on freaking paper, envelopes, whatever, scrap paper I got, I don't care. For groceries, to things to do, my errands, I just use paper. I want to use phone, but at the same time, it does not feel as serious as I have it on paper. But the downside is I will write the note, and a lot, like not let's say 76% of the time I'll write the stuff I gotta do. I have to write the groceries, I gotta write the things I need. I forgot it. I forgot it in the house. And then I was like, shit. What was the point? Then I have to like claw in the back of my recesses of my stupid brain. What the heck was I writing? Okay, I remember oatmeal. I remember raspberries. I remember strawberries. I get what I remember, and I get random stuff turns out I didn't need, and I go back home. I forgot the toilet paper. So yes, memory. I think the downside about using your phone is you don't train your memory. You don't use your brain as much. You always have something to rely on to, okay, my memory sucks, but I have my phone, But what if you forget? Yeah. And then the other thing was the note, the paper. It may seem good, and then you forgot it. So there's always a good side and a downside, but I really hate when I do that. Pisses me the hell off. But it doesn't always happen all the time, thankfully. But recently, because I've been running around a lot, I forget things. But so sometimes I do use my phone, but sometimes I rather feel like, I don't know, something with paper. It's more, I'm not saying comforting, but it feels more serious on actual paper for me. But maybe that's just me growing up in the olden days. And then oh shoot, now I forgot because I didn't have paper on me, so now I have to use my phone. So I kind of use it as needed. Music. Yes, music back then was a lot more energetic, and you actually had to have talent to sing or play instruments and stuff. There were some cases where it was not the case, but for the most part, you had to have some decent level of talent. And then nowadays, I just hear a lot of mumble singing and like, what the hell is singing? I can't hear. It's like, is my hearing going bad? But no, that's how they're singing sometimes, or they sing so fast and it's not rap. I don't understand. And then you have to go on Google and look for the lyrics. I'll let that slide for other languages, rap, but even rap, I was like, and then you see what they're talking about. What is this smut? What are you talking about? What? And they're very blunt about certain activities, like adult activities. And there's no play on words. I miss play on words back in the day where they had to avoid saying things so they don't get, put in the back burners by the major companies, or they're getting angry letters from parents and stuff. I mean, they still happened, but they tried to do a play on words sometimes. And I appreciate it so much now than back then. Like, and then I listened to songs from the 80s and 90s, especially like SWV. Oh my God. They had some songs where they're talking about sex, and then I would be listening to it in like fifth, sixth grade, and I was like, oh, this is a nice song. And then you listen, they're talking about, I was like, oh, it's still catchy, and I like that. It was all right. But then it was not so obvious, and you still had a good time listening to it at the age of like 10 or 12. But now they talk about, WAP and all that stuff, and that's not as fun sound. Like, where's the novelty? Where's the mystery? Like, you can't just be like, oh, I wonder what they're talking about. But now it's just like, here it is. Give me money. I was like, ew, I don't. Okay, so yeah, I can appreciate some level of skill to some degree, but then when it's just like mumbling, barely saying things I can barely understand, or it's just really blunt with certain activities, I miss old music sometimes. And now, like, oh, I'm sounding like those old people, like, back in my day, music was more blah. You're like, yeah, it was. They were right. Plus, some of the music that still sounds good. There is music that still sounds good now. They're grabbing from older decades, like freaking Bruno Mars singing like from different parts of decades, like 70s, 80s, 90s, early. He grabs from them and it works. But I don't care for that stuff that much. But then they're catchy, I can admit that. And then also some songs I've listened to, they grab stuff from like old times, like from the 90s and some parts of the 80s, like futuristic sounds. Some stuff from the early 2000s, or they're recycling things from other singers, like Aaliyah and stuff. Like, oh, okay. And sometimes it sounds good, but not all the time. It's not as good as the original. Like, just listen to the original, okay? But then some other stuff, it's pretty good. I'm not like, it sounds decent, but they're not as live, but they're getting popular, I'll say. Internet. Back then, if you did not have the money, was super freaking slow, and you had to use dial-up. I had to use dial-up, and that stuff was crap. But that was all I can use. I kept hearing from like old online friends talking about broadband. I was like, I want that, but I didn't have the money for that. I wasn't working back then, so I would just be really, really envious of people and of having fast internet. And by the time I do have somewhat fast internet, the internet that's considered fast now is slower to other people. And so I was like, oh my God, especially in other countries. I was like, oh, well, I can't fucking win now, can I? Unless I pay more. And I'm already paying a lot. So I'm like, what? Help. Okay, so I'm going to wrap things up. I'm on here way too long. So what did I talk about? I did talk about 80s and 90s things that were good for our childhood, but some things I don't miss. Some misconceptions about 80s and 90s things, but I did have some memories triggered, not bad triggered, but like I just remembered a few things growing up, but it's not a lot. I think it's like not it's a one-time thing. Not a one-time thing, so I might have to come back to, oh no, I messed up here. I have to come back to this topic because I have to remember more because I'm older than most of you people. So but I can't rely on my memory too much. I tried and it's like, oh shit. I have to like start writing something or look around and try like, oh, that happened and this happened and things like that. So this may be an ongoing topic, so there may be a part 2 or part 3. I don't know, but we'll see. I do miss a lot of things from the 80s and 90s, but there's some things I can definitely live without. Oh, medicine is one of them, especially for kids. There's bubble gum and grape flavor and fruit flavors that are not tasting like yuck. Like, I had to have NyQuil growing up, and there was the liquor. Who came up with licorice as a medicine flavor? They need 50 lashes. That stuff sucks. And then they was like, oh, they have cherry flavor now. That one should be. It's even worse. Like, how do you make a fruit taste like crap? Like menthol crap. How? They did it. And oh my God, I remember I had to wrestle to get away from all that nasty medicine. I hated medicine with vengeance, and it sucked. And then, yeah, so they have like those kinds of stories, but I have to try to remember. It's not easy for me. So what did I have? Oh God, I hate this. I don't like that. The original one looks so much better. This was just practice. I might have to retry again on another one, and maybe, I don't know, because this was definitely in a rush. I can do better, I know. And I know people are like, oh, why? It looks okay. But for me, I wanted to change some things, but I did not have enough time. So, but goes to show I did do work in progress, and it's like nothing. And then this one, I think I need more pencil drafts before I come up with ink. So that was my mistake. My fault. But it's something, and I'm getting started somewhere because I wasn't drawing for a while because I was taking care of a lot of things these past handfuls of days, and I'm kind of tired, but I wanted to be on time for once today, and I did talk a lot. It's good practice. I filled up my quota. And some other things I did talk about. Hopefully I did not say something stupid, but we're all human. We're going to say something stupid. So yes, I think that'll be it for now. If you were watching all the way, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I always mean that. Even though it says I appreciate it, I seriously appreciate it so much. Yes, I do. So I'm going to leave it up to... Was I supposed to? Oh, no, I have to do errands in a bit. I have to take a quick lunch, and then I have to go get some things because I messed up a whole bunch of things yesterday. Oh, my God. But yeah, I'll shut up now. Thank you for having me. If you want to talk about like old things from the 80s and 90s you missed as a kid and stuff you don't miss at all from the 80s and 90s, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'll be more than happy to listen to all that. So that is it for now. This is Deleon signing on out. Thanks for having me. Thanks for watching this during and after the live is on. And I'll see you hopefully next weekend until further notice at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Bye-bye. Take care. Have a great day and the rest of your week.